Hello and welcome. Today we'll review how to disassemble the main door and iDeck for the Twin Star Matrix cabinet. Tools required will be as follows. You will need a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a 7mm nut driver, a pair of wire cutters, some wire ties, and lastly, padding to place on the iDeck. To start, for the removal of the main door, it may require more than one person to assist with lifting. With the main door open, we are now ready to start the disassembly. As a precaution, when replacing, the entire assembly will be removed. To start, we have a total of 6 cables to be disconnected. Each will control either the top or bottom monitor. There is no preference in this order, but as shown, disconnect for the top, your power, and DP. Now disconnect for the bottom monitor. Again, disconnect your DP, power, and touchscreen. We can now disconnect the support cable. Here, use your 7mm nut driver and remove the nut. Allow this cable to hang inside the cabinet. Next, we can disconnect the LED control board cable. Disconnect this. Last cable to disconnect will be the grounding strap. Using your 7mm nut driver, remove the nut on the monitor side as shown. Allow it to hang freely inside of the cabinet. Once all cables have been disconnected, we can now take the wire loom and remove from the cable tie housing. I just placed this inside the cabinet to prevent any further damage. Now we are ready to remove the door. As being pointed out, we can see the door is on a hinge system. When lifting, we need to ensure the pillow assembly won't interfere with the lifting. As shown, place one hand at the bottom and the other at the top for balance. Lift the monitor out of its hinges and place in a safe location to prevent damaging. To reassemble, complete the reverse of the order used to remove the door. It looks easy here, but it takes a little while due to aligning the hinges correctly. Next, we want to remove the pillow assembly. Here, you will need your number 2 Phillips screwdriver and your wire cutters. Notice I also have padding on top of the iDeck to prevent damaging the iDeck. With the assembly open, using your screwdriver, remove a total of 4 screws, 2 on each side. With wire cutters, remove any wire ties as shown. Start on either side of the pillow assembly. Remove the screws as shown. Place to the side for later usage. With all screws removed, we can now lift and lay the pillow assembly down. Next, we need to disconnect the grounding straps. As you can see, there is one for each side. Using your 7mm nut driver, remove the nuts and place to the side for later use. Now we can disconnect the cabling for the LED light around the bezel. Note, these may be a little hard to remove, so take precaution when pulling these. You don't want to break them. There will be 2 cables total. Next, we need to remove the USB charging assembly. Again, using your 7mm nut driver, remove all 4 screws as shown. And again, place to the side for later usage. Remove the USB cable housing and set aside. Remove the stud housing as shown. Lift pillow assembly enough to push the housing through the front and then lay pillow assembly back down. When holding the housing as shown, you will see a Phillips screw that holds the assembly together. Remove this to allow you to completely disassemble it. Once it is disassembled, you can now pull the housing back through the opening, and this will allow you to place the pillow assembly to the side as shown. Next part to remove will be the iDeck itself. There are a total of 6 screws that secure the iDeck cover to the cabinet. They are shown here. Remove these to get access to the remaining nuts that secure the iDeck to the cabinet. Prior to removing the remaining nuts, we want to disconnect all the required cabling that is connected. As shown, we'll need to disconnect the power, touchscreen, and the DP cable. Any cabling that was connected will need to be removed from the cable stays as shown. Once all have been disconnected, we can allow this to hang freely. We're now ready to move the iDeck itself. Notice there are 12 nuts that needs to be removed. Here I am showing you the location of each. Again, you will need your 7mm nut driver to remove them. Remove them and set them aside. To remove the iDeck housing, press from the bottom of the iDeck and push up on it. As you can see, the assembly is removed from the top. Set aside. Replace this with the new iDeck in the reverse order of how it was removed. This completes the removal of the main door and iDeck. As mentioned throughout the video, the rear assembly is the reverse order of the removal for each assembly. Thank you.